Hey, Dover, Demetrius here. With this quick video I told you I'd put together for you. Try and keep it a little brief and not wear you out. But so I typed in CPA Bend, Oregon, right? Like we discussed, that is the highest searched keyword term on Google. And so when I did that, notice in the map pack here, you got Joshua A. Jordan, Hanson and Co. and Keith Dodge pops up here in the map pack. And the reason that these guys do is because they have, for one, optimized their Google listings, and two, they also fairly high in citations. So I ran an audit on these guys, and what I found was that Keith Dodge had 23 citations. Patrick Case, which you guys had 40. Joshua A. Jordan had 21, and Hanson and Co. had 30, right? But I noticed that you guys, you and Casey have each have your own GMBs as well. So you need to figure out which listing you guys are wanting to rank, or if you specifically want to rank, and kind of go from there. But the next thing, right, is the organic listings, right? So that's everything below the map pack. And so generally what I would do is look at the businesses that are ranking in the map pack and ranking organically. But what I did here is just looked at who was the number one guy here in town, and that was Price Fronk. And so I went and did a little digging on him, and this is a tool I use called Ahrefs, and this kind of just gives a snapshot of their site. And so they have the Ahrefs ranking of 8 million. They don't have a lot of trust flow back to their site, but it's enough, obviously, to put them in the number one spot. And they have 164 backlinks with 32 referring back to their site, right? So remember I told you that backlinks are essentially votes to your site, and the more relevance that you can get through these backlinks, it pulls some juice back to your site and helps you move up in the rankings. And then also the keywords that they're ranking for. So right now they're getting about 65 hits a month to their site, and the value of that's about $340. Obviously, that's just without ad spend or anything like that. And so the keywords that they are ranking for is CPA Bend, Oregon, which is getting about 100 searches a month, right? Just for that keyword, not to their site, but for that keyword. And they're in first position. And so to their site, they're getting about 38 clicks a month, right? And that's pretty standard rule of thumb. You get anywhere between 30 and 40% of the clicks if you're in the first position. And then so you'll see that they also are ranking for Bend, Oregon CPA, Accountant Bend, Oregon, Accountants Bend, Oregon, and just adding that S makes a difference, right? And you can rank for these words without having them on your page, but the more you do, the better. And so I also ran an audit for you guys as well, and this is kind of where you guys fall, right? So the DR is trust flow to your site, which you guys are hurting there. You need some. And you guys have some backlinks and some referring domains, but again, the strength of those domains is pretty weak. Hence why you guys only have a trust flow of 0.2, right? And then the keywords that you guys are ranking for, if you look here, it shows you guys are in sixth position here for Bend, Oregon CPA, right? But at sixth position, right? So anything after the third position, the amount of traffic drops drastically. So that's why it's important to be in that top three. And then CPA Bend, Oregon, right? Which you guys are top of second page, Accountants Bend, Oregon, and so on and so forth. And so really, being a dominant factor for the keywords is all the difference, right? I mean, even a few spaces makes a huge difference, right? Like look at, you know, 11th position, you only get 2 clicks a month, right? Because nobody's going to that second page, right? And so some things to help do that besides backlinks. So overall, backlinks is going to be the best bet to get you more juice, right? So let's take a look at Price and Fronk and see what these guys' site looks like. So you notice right off the bat they got some service pages and quite a few pages. Let's see what their content looks like. Not much for content, right? Maybe 150, 200 words tops, which Google likes to see, a lot of content, especially keyword relevant content, right? So you have a list of keywords right here, right? And incorporating that throughout the content on the site is huge, especially the buyer intent, right? Keywords. So, looking at like stuff like CPA price is not necessarily, buyer intent keywords, but CPA Bend, Oregon, CPA accountant, Bend, Oregon, those sorts of things, right? And incorporating that throughout your site with content. And so let's just run a search here and see if these guys even have that on their site. Right. So the number one search keyword, these guys don't even have it one time on their site, and they're ranking number one. Right. So that tells me that this is some fruit that is low hanging, right? Because you can go in here and start dominating this space. I'd say relatively easy, right? Within, I'd probably say 3 to 6 months, you can be dominating this, right? And so go take a look at your guys' site, and you have some services as well, a bunch of pages, but services, right? It's only got one page, right? So really what you want to do is for every service, you want that to be a page, right? Because the more pages is the more opportunity to write content. And you want more content because you get looked at as the authority in your space, right? And just to give you an example, right? Like I'm going to type in Mike Tyson, right? And what comes up at the very top of Mike Tyson? Wikipedia, right? Now you look and you'll see that there are tons of pages linking to Mike Tyson, right? And that's why Wikipedia shows up number one. And so the more authoritative you can make yourself in your space, you start to get noticed as that and recognized by Google. And so I would recommend all of these services that you offer, break those up into individual pages. And rather than having these listed as bullet points, right, create content for each one, right, and start incorporating some keywords throughout that content on each page. And then obviously the backlinking, right, is where you're really going to make the most ground. But then also just some small things, right? So like here, like up in the page title, you have services dash Patrick Casey and Co. LLP, right? That's a bunch of wasted space. And so what you need to do there is also you can put keywords, right? So like on the home page, rather than having your company name, right, put CPA Bend, Oregon, right, and Bend, Oregon CPA. Put the highest search terms, put that in the in the page title, right? Because that's some more space where you can capture that, and Google will, give you some bonus points for throwing that in there. Plus, that's something that the competition doesn't do, right? I guarantee you these guys didn't do it. Look, see, and so that's just another way you can kind of edge yourself up above the competition. And then also in the page descriptions, right? So the page description is this space here, right? And you can do that for every single page that you have, right? Use some of the keywords and make it pop, right? You look at like some of the things that these guys talk about here, like Oregon. We never forget that our dot, right? Like why you put a period after all this stuff is not even not even saying anything. When you look at SGA Bend, Oregon, CPA, right? So they're throwing some keywords in there, or at least parts of them. But the more specific you can get with that, right? And so this here is the page titles, right? So you start throwing those keywords in there, and Google will recognize that. So again, you need to figure out what listing you want to rank, right? Do you want to rank Patrick Casey, or do you want to rank Kyle Dover? Which, I mean, obviously, brand wise, I mean, you want to brand yourself, so you could easily do that. Or you could do both if you want to. And so you'll want citations, right? You want to completely optimize your listing, right? So that's hours of service, photos. And obviously, for something like your industry, doing photos is a little difficult, but you could use, even just landscape photos, right? Just pictures of Bend, you know, shots, surrounding your office, just landscape portraits, stuff like that. And I can help you with some of that stuff too on how to do that. And make it so that it's advantageous for you. And then citations, right? Name, address, and phone number all over the web, directory listings, things like that. And there's thousands of places you can do it. And as you saw, a lot of businesses kind of fall in that like 20 to 40 range, which is kind of bare minimum. So the more of those you can do too, right? You don't want to just compete, you want to dominate. And then content, right? Authoritative content. Usually want to see anywhere between 700 and 1,000 words of content, right? Which, might sound like a lot, but in the big scheme of things, right? It's small things to a giant. And then last but not least, backlinks, right? And that's really going to make the most difference. But you start doing these other things, and that will definitely help you as well, right? Page title, page descriptions, and whatnot. And so hopefully I was able to add a little bit of value for you there. And if you want to know more, talk more, we can. Just give me a shout. But there you go. Thanks.